going to show you how can we implement micro-frontend in Angular using native federation. But what is native federation? Here is the overview.
In earlier days, we had to depend upon iframes whenever we need to access or run external web pages in our own application, which is running on different server. But after that, a concept called micro frontend came. In this concept, a host application, which is generally called a shell, can access a remote application called MFE, which is running totally on different server. For implementing micro frontend in our application, there are two approaches in Angular. First is module federation, and the second is native federation. But the popular module federation comes with Webpack and is not available for ES Build. As the Angular CLI begins incorporating ES Build as its default build tool, starting with the Angular 17 onwards. And this new techniques run ngserve and ngbuild command noticeably faster. However, switching to ES Build brings a challenge for micro frontend. To preserve the proven mindset of Webpack, they conceptualize the concept of native federation. Native Federation leverages the browser's native support for ECMAScript modules. This means it does not rely on a specific build tool like Webpack to handle module loading and sharing, unlike traditional module federation. So let me show you how can we implement micro frontend using native federation.
So here I have created a folder native federation, and inside this folder I am going to create our both of the application shell and MFE1 as our host and remote application respectively. I used VS Code as my IDE and I already opened this native federation folder inside the terminal, and let's start creating our project here. So first I'm going to start creating our remote project MFE1. We will run the command ng-new MFE1 here. It will ask with for style sheet format we are going to create. So I will choose CSS here. I will say no to installing SSR as of now, and it will start creating our new remote project. So here, as you can see, our complete remote MFE1 project is created with all the default files generated inside it. The same way we will create our host application shell. So we will run the command ng new shell, and again it asks for style sheet format. I will prefer CSS and no to enabling SSR. So in this way, our host application shell is being created.
I just wanted to let you know that I used Angular version 19 here. So as you can see, our both the application is created here. This is our remote application. This is our shell application. So now next we will install native federation package in both the applications. So first we'll start with the MFE1. So for that we have to go to that particular folder. So for that cd MFE1, and then we will add ng add semantic to install native federation.
So ng add semantic, what it does is Apart from installing the package you want, it modify and added some files in your current application as well. So here I am going to install Native Federation version 19.0.16, and the project name is MFE1. Port on which it will run is 4201, and the type of this application is remote.
Yeah, so now I will enter. So now it's asking like this native federation is going to install. Is it okay for you? So I'll say yes. Enter. So now you can see that the package is installed successfully. And now I just want to check whether this application can run individually in the browser or not. So for that, I will check and just serve. Since we have already added the port 4201, so by default it will take 4201 only. So you can see that it will run on this local host 4201. And if I click it here, you can see the MFE is running properly.
But since we have to run this MFE inside the host application shell, we need to install Native Federation package there as well. But before going forward, I just want to show you what are the additional files are added after installing Native Federation on MFE. So it added bootstrap.ts file. In normal application, main.ts file is mapped the app.component.ts file as which is the starting point of the application. But here, main.ts maps bootstrap.ts and bootstrap.ts maps the app.component.ts file. Another file added here is federation.config.ts file, which is having configuration in key value pairs. First is the name of this remote application MFE1 in this case. Second key value is exposes, and the value is another object what it is going to expose to the host application. So the object further takes a key dot slash component here and the value which represents its path. Third item here is the list of the shared module which this MFE wants to share with the other MFEs and the host application.
So as you can see, we have installed Native Federation package in our remote application. Now we are going to install it in the shell, our host application. So for that, we have to go to that particular folder. So now we are in shell folder, and now we can install Native Federation package in the shell. For that, this is the command ng add Angular architect Native Federation. Here also I have going to install 19.0.16 version of Native Federation, and the project is shell, and the port is 4200. It will run on the localhost 4200, and a type is the dynamic host. Let's run this command. It's asking like version is correct, so I'll say yes.
So now you can see this package is installed successfully. Uh, if you go to this package JSON, you can see that native federation is installed and the version is 19.0.16. The same way, if you go to the MFE and the package JSON, you can see the same version for the native federation. So our next step is how to do routing uh, in the shell application so that it will connect with remote application and access that application inside the shell. For that, we have to uh, do some modification in app.route.ts file. But before that, I want to show you what are the additional files added after installing Native Federation, as I already intimated you earlier. First is bootstrap.ts, which act as the bridge between main.ts and app component.ts file, which is the initial point of our application. In normal Angular application, main.ts file maps the app component.ts to initiate the application. But here, main.ts maps bootstrap.ts file and bootstrap.ts file maps the app component. One another file which is added here is federation.config.ts. It's the same way it is added in the our remote application MFE1. This file exposes all the modules used in this application to other host modules if this host is the child of any other host application. One more file added here is federation.manifest.json. So in order to run MFE inside the host application, I mean inside the shell, you need to do some modification. So first you have to go to shells app.routes.ts file, and then inside route array, you have to give the path of your MFE, right? So you have to add this code, like you have to give path for MFE1 and load component. When this path will be accessed, then this remote module should be added. It is showing error because not imported. Let import it from the native federation package. Now you don't see that error, right? And it takes two parameters, and if you want the name of the remote application, in our case it is MFE1, so we have kept this. And the second parameter is the component which need to be loaded when this MFE1 will be running.
So here dot slash component key is nothing but whatever we have exposed in our MFE1 application in federation config.js file here. So whatever component or whatever page we will expose here, this key we have to use here inside the uh, shell application app routes.ts file here, so that whenever this MFA application is loaded inside the shell application, this page will be open first.
The second modification is that is also in shell. You can find a new file federation.manifest.json is added here. So once you click it, it will show the path of your server name on which this MFE1 is running. So here it is given 3000, but our MFE is running on 4201. So here we need to modify it to 4201. Here also you can find in the Angular JSON, you can find out that it is running on 4201. Just see the port is 4201. The same port you need to add it there in the federation manifest file of
of the shell here. So now we are good to go. Save these files, and now we'll run uh, the shell. Shell is already running. We add one more terminal and we'll run our MFE as well, which is running on 4201. So if you check individually where it is running, you can check that in the browser. Like MFE one is running on the localhost 4201 and shell is running on localhost 4200. Now we have to check whether we can run our MFE inside the shell. So for that, we have to add the path /mfe1. And now, boom, your MFE is running inside the shell. So since in this scenario, when we try to access MFE, this shell and MFE is loaded together in the same page, one below the other. And we can change this, modify this structure, and we can create the structure like this, where we can create a navigation part on the left side of the page, and the right side we will load the respective pages. Suppose we are the home page of the shell here. The MFE component will be loaded here when we click on MFE, and there could be some other pages in the MFE application which could also be getting loaded. So how we can load the other pages other than the home page of the MFE, that we can achieve by using uh, by adding all the routes inside the app route.ts file of MFE, where we can define all the routes. This is the home page of the MFE which is loaded, and here I have added one more component called dashboard, where I have given the path as dashboard, and after clicking on this link, this component dashboard component is getting loaded, and this app route, these all routes is getting exposed inside the federation config.js, just like we have exposed the component. The same way we will expose the routes, other routes as well for the MFE, and these route is getting captured or mapped inside the shell application uh, in app routes here. Like we mapped that keywords routes here, and then access all the routes of the MFE. So by this configuration, by this implementation, we can get this kind of structure. So in this way, we can achieve and load all the pages of shell and MFE in a single page application. So that's all for today. Thank you very much for watching this video. Please do like and subscribe this channel if you find this helpful.